this is your girl Tshego. Thank you so much for availing yourself to actually view this video, and thank you for your loyalty. This has really meant so much to me. To the newbies, thank you for also deciding to actually to view my videos, and please continue watching, and hopefully you'll subscribe to this channel. Okay, let's just straight let's just jump straight into this video. So in this video, I'll be talking about the transition from university or college to the working environment. That really sounds heavy for young adults, young people who have been waiting for this particular moment to actually get the qualification, get their degrees, get their diplomas, get their certificates, which they've really worked so hard. They've put in their hard blood, sweat, and tears, and finally the moment has arrived that you are actually transitioning from university or college to a workspace. And fortunately for you, you are one of those who was able to score an interview with many other competitive candidates who were actually deserving to have that position, but the universe was in your corner and you managed to score that interview, and yippee, you actually managed to score the job, right? So how do you set yourself up to actually jump over? How do you actually survive your transition from college to university? I've got about 7 tips for you that will actually help you to survive, right? One being that you need to understand the generational gap. You need to understand the generational gap. Remember, you're no longer in college or university, so you'll be in an environment where you will not only interact with other interns or other people who've just entered the job space. Maybe some of them you've met them at orientation week, and it'll and mostly if that was your case, it will be easily to relate to them. And perhaps maybe you did not have an orientation, or orientation or induction, or maybe you are the only person who was recruited in that particular term or quarter, right? And you actually have to interact with the rest of the employees or your colleagues in that particular organization. You need to understand that you'll be approaching either your peers or people who are quite older than you. Some people are already in their 50s, going to their 60s. Some people are in their 30s, some people are in their late 20s, and maybe you are just only 21 or 22, and you're entering and you're trying to figure out how do you relate to these people. Firstly, remember, you need to treat each and individual as if you would like them to treat you. That's the first rule. Do unto others as you would like them do to you. So also please tone down on their slang, and also voice out your views clearly. Speak clean. When I mean speak clean, it means that finish your words, finish your sentences. Do not assume that everybody in your organization do get what you're trying to say in abbreviative terms, like social media terms. So please make sure that that interface between the young generation and the old generation does not necessarily you know doesn't necessarily become a stumbling block for you to actually relate and communicate with the rest of the guys or the rest of the employees, the rest of the colleagues in your work environment. Now, survival tip number 2 is getting used to the picture. Getting used to the picture, it means that you now trying to understand that you're no longer at university, you're no longer at college, you're in a workspace environment, and the pressures of the workspace environment is actually quite different from when you're in university. Your time for about 8 hours or so does not necessarily belong to you alone, but it belongs to the organization. So therefore, you're giving service to your employer for remuneration. Okay, remember that. So number three is actually planning a budget. My favorite, my personal favorite, planning a budget. Because of now, perhaps maybe you are getting more than what you used to get when you were still at university, whether you were funded by a bursary scheme or a loan scheme, or perhaps your parents paid for your school fees and they gave you what do you call this, a monthly allowance. Perhaps now you've gotten a bigger you've got more money than what you used to have. So now you need to dodge down your essentials, the essential things that you know that you cannot live without within that budget. And while you're still trying to figure out what you're doing with the rest of your money, please save your money. Open a savings account, okay? Because I always say to new people who are starting to save, please make sure that you've got a stop order on your account, or a double order, where simply the bank, you will instruct the bank to take from your current account or your check account money to your savings account, okay? And then the second account that you need to have an emergency account, okay? For those rainy days, it will really come very much handy. And you need to have an investment account, long term for long-term investment. I would like to urge young people to please take the opportunity and the advantage that our government has given us the opportunity to have a tax-free account. Okay, currently, the tax-free account max is about 3,000 rand every month. All right, and if you don't really have so much excessive income on the side after you've actually dodged on your expenses and your essentials, you can actually start as little as 250, I think, to invest in a tax-free account. Just put away that 500 rand, that 1,000 rand, whatever amount that you still have free after saving, putting away for investment. Please manage to put away for investment, because remember, a little goes a long way. By the time that you hit the age of 35, you'll have so much money that you'll be so proud of yourself at that time. Okay, so put it away, sleep, sleep it off, and then you'll see it another time. All right, okay. The number four thing is to understand that you now have new responsibilities. So I've mentioned earlier that you give your time to your organization, because you're providing service, but at the same time, it's not like you're just going to an organization to just sit and just get paid. But understand that you'll be given new responsibilities. You'll be given new roles. For example, you'll be responsible for a particular activity in a project, and now this is the time that you need to shine. This You need to remind your employers why they chose you. Okay, you need to remind them that you are more than what you say that you are, given the little time that you had to sell yourself to them via the interview and also via the CV. All right, now you really have to put theory into practice and go beyond. Also, at the same time, when you find that you've actually finished with the task that you've been given for the day or for the week or for whatever, it is also crucial that you also step up your game and communicate with other colleagues, or ask your manager if they don't have anything else that they can give you. In that way, you're showing the managers in that organization, or your managers particularly, that you are somebody for keeps. All right, and more especially if your contract, it's not permanent, it's a temporary contract, and you need to prove to them that you are for keeps. All right, and also, you need to have, that is tip number six. No, tip number five. Yes, tip number five. You need to have patience and you need to be effective. Please don't be too hard on yourself. Remember that this is perhaps maybe your first time actually getting a formal employment. That's if at tertiary level you were not so fortunate enough to get student assistance jobs. So this is maybe one of those moments in your life that you can tap yourself on the back, that you say that you are actually employed and you are working. So please be patient with yourself and understand that everybody in that organization started somewhere. They didn't become a pro in just a period of a week or a day. They didn't just wake up and be in those particular higher positions, but they had to work themselves up to the top. Okay, so at this point in time, this is no time for you to be making friends and having a jolly in your working environment and checking and seeing if people like you or they don't like you. This is the time at that work environment you have to work and sweat, show up, be confident while doing it. All right. And also, sometimes you can also learn from others by observation. Wow, how do they do it? Or also, you can find yourself in a situation where you identify a mentor, somebody that you would like to see in that. I mean, someone that you see in that environment. You feel like, wow, I would actually like to walk in their shoes, or they inspire me. I one day too would want to actually be in that position and beyond. All right, so use that time effectively. As much as you need to be patient with your growth, but you need to be in tune with your growth, because of patience it doesn't necessarily mean that while you finish with your task you need to go around greeting everybody, going floor to floor and all of that. No, there's a time and place for all of that, because I'm sure there'll be staff meetings. After staff meeting there'll be like tea, and so that's when you use the opportunity to let yourself be known in the organization. But in any given time apart from that, you have to be effective, please. Okay. And also have my personal favorite apart from the budgeting, which is number one, budgeting. All right, I have a backup plan. All right, by backup plan I don't necessarily mean that you have to have another job listing for you, but also let's say for instance in your unit they realize that actually our work here is done, or what we actually needed you for that time being, we no longer need you, or we don't no longer need you as much as we needed before. You must allow yourself to learn other people, what they do. I mean, learn other people, other units, other managers, what they do, and what will interest you in their the particular mandate of that unit. That is very important. In that way, you're creating yourself a backup plan. If you're not being used where you are currently, perhaps you can ask to be moved. You can you can go to HR, and also with an agreement of your manager to do rotational jobs, to rotate from your unit to another unit, like job rotation. That's also a backup plan, in which I think for people who are just starting up in the environment, that is actually fantastic. And please, if given the opportunity, present your work, present your thoughts, and also be confident. And you know what? It's okay to make mistakes at that time and point, because you're also learning in that environment. But people will always remember that you've got something to say, you've got something to contribute at any time given. So, friends, I really hope that this video was informative, and the tips, the survival tips that I given you were useful. Please, please, please like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell to see similar content, and please subscribe. So till next time I share another video, stay blessed. Bye.